Welcome, everybody, to this week's Wonder Studios update. This is the update that I've really been waiting to do for a while. So exciting to have Nova McBee with us, the author of Calculated, and also the polished screenwriter for the screenplay. Welcome today, Nova McBee. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Love being here.
So we've been putting off this interview for a few weeks, and the reason why is you've been in the final throes of finishing this script, and we don't want to bother you during that time, and allow you to kind of be able to sit back and go, all right, we're done with the script. Now let's do this interview. So kind of wanted to talk about your process and your mindset going through this script. So this is a 450-page novel that you wrote, and we all know that when you take a novel that long and turn it into a screenplay, that sometimes the screenplay is almost unrecognizable that it was from a particular novel. And that really kind of ticks fans off. The core, those who love the novels to begin with, it ticks them off. It's nothing like the book. Oh man, what'd you do that for? Yet, what I've read in this screenplay, it holds all the core of the novel. I feel like I'm reading the novel, but actually a little stronger, a little punchier. So I just wanted to ask you, how did you manage to pull that off?
Okay, well, that's a couple different answers. And first of all, I want to thank Anne Peacock for giving us a really great foundation and a jumping off start or for the screenplay, right? She already condensed so much and gave unique scenes to play with. And the second part to that answer is I don't want to disappoint fans at all. I've had a lot of readers reach out to me saying, please don't let them screw up this movie. Please don't let them mutilate the book and keep it as close to the book as possible. So on one side, as the author, I've had a lot of fans reach out wanting to see the integrity of the story. And so, when One Door Studios gave me this opportunity to come in and polish the script, that was my number one goal, is making sure the integrity of the story was there. And as the author, who is also a screenwriter, I got to come in and take the characters that I know best, the scenes that I know best, and how can I condense them in? How can I fit them into this framework that we have, right? We have roughly 2.5 hours of a movie that we all want to see. And I remember back when you guys did another update and you asked the investors and you asked the fans, would you rather have a longer movie with more of the scenes from the book, or would you rather have a shorter movie?
Right.
And everyone unanimously said longer. I want to see more of the book. I want to see as much of the book as possible. And so as a screenwriter who's actually adapted over 12 book to film adaptations, with the writer's room that I run, I've learned to play with those scenes. How do you keep the essence of everything that is happening? How do you keep the voice of the character and put them in these unique scenes that have to move quite quickly? You have to move quite quickly through everything that is happening. And thankfully, we're working with a visual medium. So you don't have to explain all the details in the 400 pages where I have to literally give you that picture in a book. We get to see it in an instance. So you could have like one page in one detail on screen, and it pretty much tells you everything that you just read in the book in a chapter. So for me, the most important thing was maintaining the character integrity of Red and Madam and Joe and Kai's unique dynamic. How do I fit in all those intricacies of Chan in such a small space? Because in the book, we have so many characters that have so much detail. So I have to be very, very specific and which detail I put where that can speak volumes in that one moment. And that is the craft of screenwriting.
That's absolutely the craft of screenwriting.
You have to choose one detail that says it all.
Yep.
And as the person who knows these characters, I'm like, okay, this detail will speak this. If we have this one conversation, it will sum up all those conversations that she had in the book. So we have to be very, very strategic in which dialogue can actually punch the biggest punch, right? It can deliver the biggest punch. So it was hard because
there was some elements. It's not usually written this way in novels, but in a movie you'll have a scene ending with a knocking of a door, and it instantly cuts to the knocking of a door in another scene. And he actually did that exact same thing in this script at one point. I was like, oh, that was just so brilliant. You could totally visualize how this was going to transition and take place. I was just super excited to see some of those transitions you did in those scenes.
Well, so as most of you guys watching this update know, Calculated is a very unique book with time jumps. And Anne Peacock once said this is the second hardest book she's ever adapted in her career. And there's a reason for that. I've adapted, like I said, 12 books, which have a very linear, more simple plot. And I'm looking at my own book going, Nova, why did you do this to the world? It is very complex
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
this time jump. And we wanted to maintain that integrity because it's fascinating. The jumping back, the mystery that it's created, the different characters that, Joe, Octavia, Mila, Double Eight, Phoenix, like we are trying to create a world and really a jumping off point for the whole franchise, right? We know that Simulated is coming and Activated and Liberated. And me as the author, I know what's coming and what needs to be in this screenplay to make all the other screenplays work.
Right.
And that's really exciting, but it was not easy. This was not an easy book to adapt for Anne or for me.
It's very, very,
And
very difficult. So much. I mean, because it's not like a movie with flashbacks. It's multiple timelines. Anybody who's read the novel knows that. There's just it's what the funny thing is when you get done reading it, you don't feel like you have multiple timelines. You feel like it's all one timeline. That's just an amazing thing about it. But I want to go back and talk about the fact that it's been now 2 years and 2 months, I believe, since we started writing the screenplay for this thing. Now, to some people, that is just like, oh my gosh, how long? I know it's been painfully long, especially with a nearly 6 month writer strike. So we just chopped our legs off for 6 months, couldn't do anything about the property. But I want to talk about for those who feel like it's been too long, or maybe you're getting impatient on it. I've been involved in 3 projects where I've been called up to, analyze a script or try to save a film because, frankly, the script, they didn't spend enough time on the script. And so now they've shot the film with a script that was rushed. And now we have a bunch of problems that cost several $1 million to make those mistakes. And now we're trying to fix them. So and then what we end up with is reshoots. Maybe actors aren't available anymore. It costs twice as much to get them back, and now you're trying to band-aid a flawed story to begin with, and it costs more money, takes more time, and is a worse story in the end. And so that is, with that experience and understanding, is why we're not going to settle for a script that is half-baked or 3/4 baked or even 90% baked. We wanted a script that is absolutely bulletproof. And the previous version of script that you did polish on was a step up. And as we read it, you would agree that there was a couple things that were holes in it that are hard to see. And now what you've done now with the story is basically filled in all those holes, all those doubts that the viewer would have. Why was Madame so mad at Joe when she betrayed her? Is it convincing enough? Is it convincing enough about the betrayal, Mara's betrayal of Josephine? And so you've just talk about a little bit about filling in those holes and making the story bulletproof.
Well, so yes, it's been 2 years, but that strike really took a chunk out. But for me, I got the ability to come in on this script in the beginning of November, and mid-November, whatever it was. I've done 2 drafts in just a couple months.
Yep.
And the first one was to really realign the screenplay from Anne with the book, really just hammer out what we need to make it close to the book. And then getting those producer notes are huge. When you work with the screenwriter, also the screenwriter author, you getting those producer notes are just wonderful because they're saying, let's tighten this. And that's what teamwork really is. And that's how powerful it works, where it's like, you're seeing this and this and this. And as a team, we went to work on how can we tighten all of these areas. And we went in, and Paul, one of the producers, was also working with me very closely on those producer notes. And it was so awesome. We were just like, let's do exactly what you're saying, Stephen. We want this to be bulletproof, because we know we're building a franchise. We are not just doing one movie. We want it to be bulletproof so that this is going to blow America away. This is going
Yeah.
to be the next movie they want to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. And so, how can we make every single character pop? How can we have it with there's no plot holes? How can we make this seamless and rip out your heart and
Mm.
yet on the edge of your seat?
Yeah.
That's what we did. We're like giving you high stakes. We're giving you action. We're giving you depth. We're giving you emotion. We're going to make you cry.
Yeah.
And we wanted it
No
to be
doubt.
bulletproof. And so and for me, I love doing that with my characters. I'm glad that I have a whole team behind me who loves the stories, knows the characters, they're invested, they're giving me great notes, and we can work together as a team. And I'm excited to see bulletproof screenplays for each one of these movies
Yeah.
because I know I have a team that's
Yeah.
committed enough to make it good.
Yeah.
And likewise, we see that in the book world where people release their books too soon and they fail, and they're not the ones you want to rewatch, and they're not the ones you want to reread because they didn't take the time. And so I'm glad I have a team that takes the
Oh
time.
man. Dude, so I have actually read. So I've read Calculated. With the actual paper novel 3 times, and I've listened to the audio version 1 time. So I know the story, and in other words, every spoiler's there. For me, like I know how everything ends, but as I was reading this version of the script, the dramatic tension, the question like, how does this end? What's gonna happen? How is that even still there? I know the story left and right, front and back, but I'm saying this screenplay delivered this dramatic tension because the audience, whether they know it or not, it loves unanswered questions. They love it because it draws them on to the next scene because they want that question answered. And once that question is answered, there has to be other questions that are left unanswered. And this just, gosh, the script just delivers that in spades. It's just so amazing. As I was reading it, I just it's like just fires, boom, 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 with action and intensity. There's never a dull moment in this script. So I'm just like, nice job, Nova.
Well, it's exciting because, for all of you readers out there, we did have to change a few things because that's just the crunch and the nature, but we got to play with it and they're still our characters.
Yeah.
There were some dialogue changes that we had to make, but there's still, and that's going to be fun because they're going to know the story, but they're not going to know how it's going to look when we play it out. They're going to be so drawn to like, what is Kai going to say to her in that moment? And, these little fun things. We kept as much original dialogue as we could, and we did a great job, guys. You're going to be proud of it. We kept Red's original lines, and we have all these lines, but we did have to change a few things. But it kept all the essence of the book, and that for me, from the first draft that I saw to now, I'm like, ooh, as the author, I approve. And that's huge because when I adapt books, I want to make sure not only the producers are happy, but the author's happy because that's their work. That's work that they need to see. They took a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of prayers and tears into those works.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they're happy. And I can say, as the author, I'm thrilled at what the story has become.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of these characters. And yes, there are a couple changes that, unless you guys want to see a 4-hour movie, we had to make.
Yeah.
Which,
and we won't give away any of what those scenes are, but
no.
there was times where like, how are we going to handle this? Like, because that's just if we were to do that, that would add another 10 pages,
Yeah.
and we can't do you can't do that because the movie's got to be,
And
a
that was
reasonable
sad.
length.
We were sad at a couple of things that we couldn't give you. So we tried to give you the best of everything that kept the story and made the story what we all have fallen in love with.
Yeah.
So
it's essentially the same though. It just instead of happening in this room, it happened over here at this time, but nearly the same. So and those are few. Those are few of the changes.
Very few that we had to crunch but I encourage you all to read the book. Okay.
Yeah,
as the author, all of you need to read the book.
It's not going to spoil anything. When you watch this film, you're still going to be like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to her? So I wanted to give you guys, the investors and fans, just an idea of where we're at. What are we doing now? So what's the plan with the script? Like I said, we went to the Toronto Film Festival a couple months back and presented the trailer, the Rip-O-Matic, the internal trailer for the movie. And a lot of producers are just like, wow, this is outstanding. I want to read the script. So we didn't give them the script yet because we wanted to make sure it was bulletproof first. So this script, this version is the one we are going out to production partners and producers with. It doesn't mean there's not going to be slight changes, that we still are, going to do slight, I would say. And then once a director, gets on board, they never don't ask for changes. So, there's going to be some things that, well, we'll have to, that might be slightly different. But my point is this script right now is the one we're going to production partners and producers with. So, the proverbial horse's gate, it has been opened, and we're going to start going out. So, Nova, I just want to congratulate you on such a job well done on this script. Guys, it's really exciting. Thanks for
It's a
being
huge
patient.
honor to be part of it. I am so thrilled. I did not think that I would be on this project, and I ended up on this project. I couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Nova. We don't want to take
Thank
too
you.
much more of your time. It looks like it's just been snowing outside your window there.
It had a random snow last night. You're very observant.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, all of our investors and friends. And be sure to comment below about or any even questions you'd like to ask me or Nova. And no spoilers allowed.
Yeah, ask away.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time on Wonder Studios Update. Ciao.